All right, so we'll take a look at the final exam review for you guys. First thing, we're looking at some of the exponent work we've done in class. And so read the instructions carefully, and we're going to go ahead and simplify these. Notice we should only have positive exponents. So in this very first one, we don't have to worry about any kind of negative exponents. We just have to use our power to power rule, right? We're going to put that in there, so we're going to end up with 2 times 2 is 4, and then 3 times 2 is 6, and that's as far as that one goes. The second one, we have these negative exponents, so let's go ahead and use our power to power again. So the first thing, negative 2 times negative 1 is 2, and 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Well, this is a problem because we only want positive exponents, but if we can remember, this is almost like if we put it as a fraction, it's over 1, and anytime we have a negative exponent, that means it's going to switch sides of the fraction to become positive. And there's where that one goes. Here we go. Let's go ahead and multiply the 4 times 4, which is 16. And then we'll take a look. That end of the third is positive, so it'll stay up top. The next m is to the negative third, so we'll go ahead and drop that down into the bottom, and it becomes into the third. We already dealt with a 4. M to the negative fourth, so that's going to be m to the fourth that'll go to the denominator, and then finally that m to the fourth, which is a positive exponent, will stay in the numerator. Now, altogether, now we have 16 m to the third, m to the fourth, over, there are now 7 m's in the bottom. Well, if I were to expand these all the way out, which we've done in the past, well, we'd realize there are 3 m's in the top that are going to cancel with 3 m's in the bottom. So all the m's in the top will cancel, leaving me with just those. And then since 3 of them canceled in the bottom, I'm left with just 4 m's in the denominator. Next problem, 4 times 2. We'll go ahead and do that. That's 8. That y to the negative first is going to drop to the denominator. X to the negative fourth will drop to the denominator. And then here's y to the third that stays in the numerator. Again, there's 3 of those y's in the top and 1 in the bottom, which means when we cancel, we'll be left with 2 in the top, none of the y's in the bottom, so the only thing left in the bottom are the 4 x's. Right. Some where it gets a little bit more involved here. So first things first, 2 times 3 is 6. And then we keep that m to the second, m to the second. There's another m to the second. This end of the negative first, well, that's going to drop to the bottom, so end of the first. And now let's take a look at what's happening down here in the denominator. Well, first off, the m is going to stay put. And then that end of the negative fourth, right, since that's a negative in the denominator, it's going to flip back up to the numerator. So let's clean this up a little bit. Now we have a total of 4 m's in the top and 6 n's, and then we have 1 n and 1 m in the bottom. So we can go ahead and cancel some stuff here. We'll end up with 3 m's on the top and 5 n's, and then there's nothing in the bottom, so you can put over 1, or we could just, we don't even have to put the over 1, and we could just go ahead and circle that answer right there. One more exponent problem. You got 3x to the third, y to the fourth. Nothing there is going to change, but then we get to the bottom, we have 2 times 4, which is 8. This x to the negative third, well, that means 3 x's to the top. That y to the third is going to stay at the bottom. X to the negative 2, well, that's 2 x's that are going to drop to the, or move to the top. And that y to the fourth is going to stay at the bottom. So let's go ahead and put some stuff together. So all together we have, there's 3 plus another 3, that's 6 plus 2. So we have x to the 8th, y to the 4th, and then here we got 3 y's, and then another 4 y's, which is a total of 7 y's, y to the 7th. And then again, if we were to expand this all the way out, the 4 y's in the numerator would cancel. There are no x's in the bottom, so we have 3x to the 8th. And then if 4 of the y's cancel, we're only left with 3 in the bottom. All right. Find each product. That just means we're going to be doing some multiplying. So since we've just got one number outside, all we're going to do here is distribute this one in. So that's 4x squared. And then 4 times 7 is 28. Don't forget the x, and then 4 times 4 is 16. Here, when we're doing binomial times binomial, it's a great opportunity to use that box method. Right? So we'll do 7k minus 2, 5k plus 2. So this would be 35k squared minus 10k. There's 14k, and then minus 4. Remember that we're always going to add the like terms. So we're left with 35k squared. Negative 10 plus 14 is going to be plus 4k, and then minus 4. So there's your final answer once it's multiplied out. Same process for number 9. Go ahead, use your box. It keeps stuff organized. It keeps stuff kind of all together, the like term. So 7a times a is a squared. Then we got minus 2a, minus 35a, and then negative 2 times negative 5 is positive 10. Again, combine the like terms, so we're left with 7a squared. Negative 2 plus negative 35 is negative 37a, and then plus 10. One more example of this particular type of problem. We got 3p plus 1, 3p minus 1, so 3 times 3 is 9, and we got p squared. 1 times 3p is 3p, and negative 1 times 3p is negative 3p, and then negative 1 times positive 1, negative 1. So we'll go ahead and start combining some like terms. So we're left with 9p squared. 3p plus negative 3p is 0. So that's all we have to put right there. And then the final problem on page 1 of the review sheet, this isn't the same thing as what we saw with the exponents before. Remember, with this type of problem, it's 6x minus 2 times 6x minus 2, so you have to make sure to expand it out like that, and then it's just right back to your box. So it's kind of, there's one quick step before you can do your multiplication. Remember, you want 2 of these 6x minus 2's like that. So 6x times 6x, so 6 times 6 is 36, and you have the x squared. Negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. You have the x. 6 times negative 2, again, is negative 12. You got the x, and negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. Be very careful when you're adding these. Negative 12 plus negative 12. Again, you can use your calculator if you'd like. So we got 36x squared. Negative 12x plus negative 12x is negative 24x. And then we have plus 4.